So, good morning. We are just starting the panel. One second while we so inviting. We are just starting the panel. One second while we. Right, I've just invited Ashna and Ria to join us, who are from Project Rouhani. Welcome.
Hello, hi, good morning.
I hope things are good your end. Where are you based?
India, Kolkata.
Brilliant. Well, great to have you here. And I'd like to first start with introductions. So my name is Henry Lusengor, and I am founder and CEO of Promoting Economic Pluralism that set up the Festival for Change. And I'd also like to ask Lalit Kishore Bhati to introduce himself.
Hi everyone, good morning. My name is Lalit Kishore Bhati. I'm an architect and urban planner by profession. And I live and work in Auroville. Auroville is an international cultural township in South India near Pondicherry. It is based on the spiritual vision of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, and we have 3,000 people from 55 countries engaged in many wide-ranging activities towards, say, holistic and integral living. So one can check out more about Auroville, just simply Google, and the wide range activity right from soil and water conservation, community self-governance, alternative education, economy, architecture, building construction technology, social entrepreneurship, bioregional activities. There are many things. So this is me.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Lalit. Welcome, Lindsay. Arrived just in time.
I'm so sorry. We've got terrible weather down here, and our internet is all over the place. But anyway, I finally made it through. So
that's good. This is the challenge of doing things online. You never know quite, especially when they're live. So thanks, Lindsay. Could you just quickly introduce yourself?
Of course. Yeah, so I'm Lindsay. I'm the Chief Exec of the Real Ideas organisation. We're based in the UK, in southwest England, at the moment in wet and windy Cornwall. And we do a lot of work with really three things. So it's about how do we work with people who have good ideas and help them to really put them in practice. That's the sort of core of what we're about. And we do that in terms of supporting children and young people. And we have numerous examples, both in the UK and actually around the world, of projects we've done supporting young people to develop social enterprises. And then we also do that with other social entrepreneurs in the UK, and then we've ended up running a number of our own social enterprises too. So that's the brief summary.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Lindsay. So Ashna, can you introduce yourself?
Yes. So hi everyone, I'm Ashna. I'm currently in second year of my college and I'm studying psychology. I've been born and brought up in Calcutta, even though I'm from Rajasthan. And I guess that's about it. I'm the project director of Project Rouhani, and we'll be presenting that today along with Ria. And Ria is my colleague, and I think over to you, Ria, now.
Ria.
Hello everybody, I am Ria Gupta, and I am also a second year at Lady Shri Ram College, Delhi, and I'm pursuing BCom Honours, which is Commerce, and I live in Delhi, and Ashna is my colleague, and I also am project director at Rouhani, and we are very glad to be here and will be presenting. Looking forward to it.
Thanks very much, Ashna and Ria, and congratulations, I like to say first, because as a finalist, that is a brilliant achievement, and we see all our finalists as winners because you've all produced some fantastic ideas and are hugely motivated and talented people. So first, can we have then a brief presentation on Project Rouhani, and then we'll have a chance. I'll ask the members of the panel to ask you questions so we can discuss your project.
Definitely. So is it okay if I share my screen?
Absolutely.
Okay, please do let me know if my screen is visible.
It's fine.
All right, so if my screen is visible, I believe we can start. I'd have to switch off my camera till the time I'm sharing my screen because of the internet issues, but I'll turn it back on once the pitch is done. I hope
Brilliant.
that's okay. Okay, so I'll start now. W.B. Yeats once said, "Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire." In India, schools were seen as sacred places where children blossomed into beautiful individuals. Today, education systems are characterized by rote learning and lengthy syllabuses. In such a situation, the youth always finds itself emotionally and psychologically empty. There is nothing more vulnerable, yet nothing more revolutionary than a child's mind. Most importantly, nothing more transformational about what a child can bring into the future. The children The children in a post lockdown world will be tattered by the trauma of a pandemic. Having been locked behind doors, what they would need now, more than ever, is an empathetic environment that brings them closer to the spirit of humanity. After a year of working with young adults in the field of mental health, we have realized that mental health problems manifest themselves at young ages and snowball into grave issues which are then internalized in adulthood. Envisioning to reclaim the lost meaning of education, Project Rahani decided to step in. Children in India need more time to be just children, to do what their age demands them to do, to talk, to play, to talk freely and unashamed, and simply enjoy the ripest and the simplest age of their lives. We believe that childhood is the scaffold of tomorrow. When this scaffold is weak, tomorrow crumbles. Our vision molds children to be the torch bearers of a community of people who are empathetic and understanding, creating ripple effects for a society with lesser crime, lesser pain, lesser crime, and more joy.
Therefore, our proposal is as follows. We seek to introduce the idea of social and emotional learning, SEL, through our program in classrooms. The SEL program, following the Cassell framework, will equip children in 5 main competencies, which are self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, relationship management, and decision-making. Equipping students with these core competencies at a young age results in improved classroom behavior and increased ability to manage stress and depression and better attitudes about themselves, others, and school. Additionally, learning SEL curricula at the kindergarten level is connected to favorable outcomes in young adulthood, including lessened criminal activity, educational achievement, employability, and good mental health. The program features are as follows. Through SEL lessons, we wish to talk about a variety of topics which often go unnoticed by schools. With a vision of tackling the looming climate crisis from a young age, we wish to include programs like plantation, rainwater harvesting, and gardening in schools for the long-term future. Additionally, plants have the added benefit of lowering anxiety levels, stress levels, and increasing attentiveness, memory, productivity, and creativity. These programs would also include telling them why to reduce the usage of plastic and ask for alternative, economically viable, yet environmentally sustainable solutions. To make them more confident, we wish to introduce peer circles in schools, which are small groups of children who would be involved in not just sharing of feelings, but also of solution driven ideas on the 17 sustainable goals. These circles would promote divergent and convergent thinking, the spirit of togetherness, and support the belief that what cannot be done alone happens together. We recognize that each child has varied needs, and each child deserves to craft the future just as equally as the next. Thus, we envision to include special programs for children with learning disabilities and neurodevelopmental disorders to promote a sensitive, inclusive, and safe school environment.
This revolutionary program would be carried out and made sustainable by training the teachers of the schools. This training would be done by mental health professionals and would include a lucid account of how important it is to deal with one's own emotions and thoughts, an understanding of the 5 competencies of the Cassell framework, and the implementation of our school wellness program as a whole. The same program will be replicated in low income schools. These children are literate but are often deprived of a holistic, all round development that children of the privileged community are otherwise blessed with. To measure and quantify our progress, we would be conducting pre and post surveys of school children, teachers, and parents to better understand their current and post needs. Self reports, questionnaires, and focus group discussions would also help us document the same. Our way forward would be collaborating with nascent organizations working on SEL who can implement it with us and take it forward in different schools, meticulously collecting feedback and ensuring sustainability. This program will be implemented in phases, first in primary schools, where each element would be tried and tested to meet the social, emotional, and cultural needs of our children. Through Rohani, we are shooting a hope of ray into the world where children are transformed into resilient change makers who build a future block by block towards a society we've always dreamt of.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a very impressive presentation indeed. And can you stop in the screen sharing? That would be great.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And welcome back on your cameras. Brilliant. Well, I'd like to start by asking Lalit maybe to open the discussion.
Thank you very much for sharing this presentation. It is excellent. So in terms of children to be, what I can share also from my background on also Orwell approach in philosophy. So Mother, the founder of Orwell, she talks about the joy of learning. So, and Shri Aurobindo says that we all have the seed within. So the role of both parental, the home setup, as well as the educational should be to nurture this seed so that each person realizes, manifest their own potential. So I can see very well, I can relate and align with the overall line of thought. So in terms of the idea, concept and approach, I think it is excellent. It is much needed. Absolutely fine. Now I have some practical question to ask. So is it boiling down as a project Rouhani to the teacher training activity? This is one I have. Is it a teacher training activity finally, or something else that you will be yourself taking part, taking up some pilot schools and monitoring it or something like that? So I just need a bit more idea or a clarity, like how much you have thought out. I'm not aware how much you have thought through, or has it been tested in the past? So something on that would be helpful.
Okay, so I'll perhaps talk about the teacher training bit. So, sir, essentially, we'll be training the teachers in the main competencies that are outlined in the model, and this training would be undertaken by mental health professionals. So, once the teachers have been trained, then this model would be implemented with the children. So, the final outcome of the model is to inculcate SEL in classroom learning, and the step towards it would be starting by training the teachers. Ashna, would you
So
want to answer the second part?
this is just 1 second. This
Yes.
part is clear, but after you have trained the teachers with the help of mental health professionals, what is your role? Are you still involved when the activity is happening in the school? Are you attending, a follow-up is happening, or is it left to a teacher now to take it up further?
No, sir. So, answering your question, our program does not boil down to just teacher training. What teacher training is essentially a part of our program and not our program. So,
Sure.
our entire team right now is working on the SEL curriculum. And by curriculum, we mean that under each competency, we are meticulously researching and trying to find activities that will suit the Indian socio-cultural background for our children. So once that curriculum is made, we would be helping the teachers and the schools to implement it. And of course, at one point of time, we would have to leave the school. but we will make sure that, with the other organization that we hope to collaborate with, they would keep on going back to the schools and keep on having assessments like surveys, questionnaires, and self-reports, like we mentioned in our project. So they would keep quantifying the data and checking whether our entire program actually is working out and whether it's actually beneficial for the kids and the school. So our involvement that way will be very holistic and very core to the project.
So, sir, the
Okay.
follow-ups will be quite regular. So they can be bi-monthly, and according to the need, we'll be revisiting the school and checking on the project.
Can I do a follow-up? Because I mean, had you thought of trying to do a pilot or working with particular groups? Because it's quite, I mean, obviously training all teachers in India is a huge, and normally you do trials first, don't you?
No, definitely, sir. We will definitely do a pilot. And actually, this entire program is coming from our experience last year in doing workshops in a lot of schools, primary schools that we did with EDMC. So we realized that, just workshops don't work out. And right now we are preparing a curriculum that first will be piloted probably with a small group of children, in one school. And then, as we said, everything would be done in phases. We'll phase it out slowly and we'll try each and every element as and when one element works out very well in one school.
Brilliant. Well, we seem to have, our other panelist, Lindsay, seems to be having technical problems. So just taking another topic, I'd really like to know where your idea initially came from, because you say last year you were doing workshops. So obviously this has been, ideas been developing for some time. Where did it come from? What inspired you to get involved in this?
So, sir, as Ashna mentioned, like we'd be conducting workshops with children in the past year. And these workshops had been circling around how to manage your emotions, how to increase your confidence, all of that. But, sir, we realized that, and plus, since the pandemic, we've also been conducting various workshops with young adults. So, these are students and children from the age of 18 to say 25. So we realized that in the process of these workshops, that by the time people reach this age, so the problems or the issues that crop up manifest themselves and they increase such an extent that it becomes very difficult to intervene. So that is how we thought that an early intervention is very important at the school level.
But Ria, going back, because presumably,
Right.
how come you had these workshops in the first place? Where did the idea come from for the workshops? Have you been studying this or what?
So, sir, mental health is a very big taboo and yet a very big problem in India. So, as a psychology student personally, I've been studying a lot about the kind of mental health problems that adolescents face and how they snowball into adulthood, right? So, that's when the entire passion towards doing something for the mental health of our country, where so many students are suiciding at a large number, actually came. So we wanted to launch a project on mental health, but we didn't have a very good direction. So we thought that it's best to test and try in the field itself. So we started talking to mental health professionals and we started talking to people, and then slowly we started doing workshops in mental health, which was directed at one particular issue that a person would probably have. So for instance, I'm a university student, so I have a lot of stress. So we started conducting workshops around stress after talking to a lot of people that this is their problem. And then slowly we realized that there are more problems. So there were more sessions. But then we realized that sessions are not the way to deal with problems, because you have a session and you tell them that this is what you can do, post the session, and these are the coping mechanisms that you can use. But mental health is way more complex and it goes way deeper than that. And there is no way to ensure that the person would actually be able to do that, because it's mental health and it's deep. So this is when we realized that we needed a more permanent foundational solution and we needed to start early. Because by the time you're 18, 19, by the time you're 30, by the time you go into corporates, your entire life is kind of directed towards work and mortgages and money. And even though physical health becomes very important, people in India specifically do not want to think about mental health. So after speaking to a lot of parents, I asked my own mother that what is it that will make you believe in the power of therapy and in the power of mental health. So she told me that in India, schools are a very foundational solution for any problems. So the reason why we believe in moral education is because your school had a period for moral science. But the reason why we don't believe in therapy was because your school never told us that mental health was important, or because your school never had a school counselor or therapy. And that's when it's struck us that, okay, we need to start from a place that is socially acceptable and a place where change actually begins, where change is born. And that's how we came to the solution of a school wellness program.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. I mean, it's amazing what you've done. You've obviously been through a whole process of investigation, talking, trialing, and exploring, which shows you've got a very solid foundation, haven't you? Lindsay, I'm sorry you've obviously been having further technical problems. We initially talked about whether this was just about training teachers, and discovered that it's also about monitoring, but piloting and so on. And we just had a discussion about the origins of where the ideas came from. What would you like to ask?
I think it's fascinating, and really, exciting. And I completely agree with you that particularly working with young children is where it needs to start. And there's lots of research, I'm sure you've looked at it, that comes at this from a whole variety of directions. And if you've not come across him, do Google Sir Ken Robinson, because he's done some really fantastic work about the idea that actually up until about 5 years old, most children display, a variety of behaviours which education essentially squashes out of them if we're not careful. So anyway, that's an aside. The bit I'm interested in is, I guess, is the sort of longevity and sustainability of this. So I wonder if you could just say a little bit more about the business model and how are you going to sort of make this work within a financial context, I guess.
So, ma'am, we are planning to first implement it in private schools. So, as when we talk about sustainability, since we've already mentioned before that we'd be collaborating with a nascent organization who's also working with SEL, and they would go on, returning back to the schools and actually taking surveys and self-reports to find out how effective our program is. But when it comes to money and the kind of grants that we need, since Rahani is very nascent in its terms, so we'll have to first charge a certain amount from schools itself in the beginning. So for now, till what our calculation is, we would like to charge every child with around 55 rupees INR, international rupees, and that culmination of we'd be taking that because we'd need to pay the mental health professional who'd be working with us, along with all the logistical and travel costs that our team would be, kind of facing. And after that, whatever is left, we'd be using that amount of money into low-income schools or government schools where children cannot really pay that much. So we're putting on hopes on private schools, and we're also trying to get in touch with the government right now so that we can, we can have a more foundational solution to it. Because once a government says that SEL is necessary and that mental health is necessary, there are transformational changes in the country. So we're getting in touch with the government as well, and we've been talking to a lot of individuals outside our country looking for grants. So the entire financial process is on. But in terms of our business model, we would be charging a certain amount from the private schools that we would be introducing our programs in.
And have you approached a private school? Have you got any that are prepared to pay for anything yet?
So, ma'am, not very honestly, not yet, because we are still in the process of making. But we do realize it's going to be a tough process. But we've seen a lot of SEL programs going on in schools, which are very temporary in nature for 2-3 months, and schools have been paying for that. So, if schools have been ready to pay for a program that is so temporary in nature, it would be revolutionary for them to pay for it for 2 months that actually sustains itself. So we're going to pitch and we're going to try our best to do what we're doing. So we're being very hopeful about that.
Yes, ma'am. And with respect to the pilot, we've been speaking to organizations and a few of them have very positively responded to our model, and they have agreed to try a pilot with us. So we are in talks with a lot of people, and hopefully we'll get a pilot in place.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. We're now just about to run out of time, but it's been fantastic hearing more about your project, and it is really inspiring, and we really hope we can help you raise the profile. We will be launching all the finalists online on Monday, and promoting people to vote on them. It's really, the vote is just a matter of trying to get people engaged, to look at the different projects and raise your profile, and hopefully that will bring more interest and help you. We'll also be looking to write an article about your project and also connect you as far as possible with people who might be able to help you along your road. But I wish you all the best, and thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
sir.
much. And
Thank
thank you for this
Excellent,
opportunity.
excellent effort.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Wonderful.
sir.
Yeah, excellent.
Thank you,
I can put you in touch with some people, those who have been on a very similar line. We in Auroville, we have been running a program called Swadharma, like Find Your True Calling, and we received many participants. It was a 5-week residential program, and there were many people in that, those who came from a very similar kind of background, those who wanted to teach, particularly underprivileged students and children. So they have gone through that program and developed again curriculum. So the whole thing is to integrate things. So it is not about just talking about mental health issues. So even if you are teaching math, the way math is being approached, it takes care of most of these elements. Otherwise, developing a concept and just talk about this, and when they see the flow of other activities in their life, including the families are big stakeholder in this. Somehow bringing them in this whole loop is very key. So they feel secure. I think in the first 7 years is the key. Thank you.
Thank you
and all
very
the
much,
best.
Lalit. Well, hopefully maybe you can talk further to Ashna and Ria and put them in touch
I'll
with
be happy.
people to help
I'll be
develop their
happy to do
thinking.
that.
That would
Thanks
be
very
great.
much,
Looking forward.
Yes,
and
sir.
and we will be in touch with you further. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
If
you
you
so
could
much.
now, leave us for the moment, and we'll invite the next people in. Welcome, Mohammed and Asma, and thank you very much for joining us this morning. I'll start by introducing your panel and then asking you to introduce yourselves, and then we'll move to the presentation. So my name's Henry Lusengor. I am the founder and CEO of Promoting Economic Pluralism, which set up the Festival for Change. Lalit?
My name is Lalit Kishore Bhati. I am an architect and urban planner by profession, and I am based in Auroville. Auroville is international cultural township in South India near Pondicherry, further south of Chennai. And we are 3,000 people from 55 countries. We are volunteers here, and Auroville is engaged in wide-ranging holistic living activities and many sustainable practices. One can just check out on the net. It has a wonderful website. Yeah, and I'm engaged in many learning activities. Yeah.
Thank you, Lalit. And Lindsay?
Hi, I'm Lindsay Hall from the Real Ideas organisation based in the southwest of the UK. And we do lots and lots of work with young people actually across the world really, and others, supporting them to set up different types of social enterprises, community businesses, solving a wide range of different problems. And we've done a few ourselves as well. So yeah, lots of experience in this sort of space.
Thank you, Lindsay. Mohammed?
So thank you, everyone, and it's great to meet you all. And I am Mohammad Raid, and I have a teammate with us, Asma. And we are joining from Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh. And we'd like to present, if you permit us to share our screen now. You are on mute.
Asma, if you could just introduce yourself as well.
Yes, hello everyone. I am Asma Arisha, currently studying, we are both studying computer science and engineering here in North South University, Dhaka, Bangladesh. And we are very enthusiastic about building a sustainable world, and hence we are today here with our project.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mohammed, Asma, and welcome. Congratulations for getting into to be a finalist. We think all the finalists are winners in their own right because all of your projects have been so impressive. So I'd like to now invite you to give a short 5-minute presentation, and then we can open the discussion and talk about your project.
Okay, then I would like to share my screen. Take a moment. Can you see my screen?
Yes, that's good.
Yes.
Okay, so hello again. I am Mohammad Raid, and our project, Bottle Economy, is a win for the poor people of Bangladesh and a win for their environment. COVID-19 is compounding an already huge social and economic problem. Due to social distancing, more people are falling into poverty, creating a massive food insecurity as the industries are closed and incomes stopped. Alongside this, we have a huge environmental problem that is due to the throwaway culture. A huge amount of plastics are consumed in Bangladesh, which is a big threat to our oceans and marine species. All of these problems are casually interconnected in all sorts of known and unknown ways. With the pandemic escalated this and affecting the well-being and balance of the wider ecosystem. And we want to intervene in this complex system to generate desired economic, social, and environmental outcomes by providing the poor community with extra earning opportunities and with scopes by they can utilize locally available resources with a convenient method and build a recycling mentality through making them realize that this garbage waste is worth of some value. So the scope of our project lies in both the urban and rural areas as we target this 78 and 22% for this project. And most of the time, our concern remains with improving the condition of the poor residing in the in the rural areas. We often miss to plan out projects concerning the urban poor. Hence, our focus remains with both areas with a goal to create development in general. Our model uses USSD, which is a communication protocol of mobile companies where users can interact with the system by putting codes or simple numbers. And as it's familiar to some 160 million Bangladeshis, and it doesn't require expensive phones or data packs, it will be an efficient way to establish communication at a local level, as well as provide a unique software interface to the recycling companies through which they can monitor and coordinate recycling activities. Coming to the existing market, this sector is already generating $250 million in revenue and employing millions of people. So just think about the possibility, how many more people can get benefited from this when recycling of the remaining part is ensured. So we are creating a system where people can earn extra as well as contribute in building a greener world. In this model, we generate revenue by taking a small percentage from the recycling companies based on the waste collection amount. So this is the progress of our pre-test phase so far. And this will help us to understand the mindset that is existent among the general mass regarding the exact concept of waste collection. It started out small, but within a week, we have received a very good number of responses from the local people. And our plan is completely in alignment with the Sustainable Development Goals. And our mission is to build a sustainable world. In fact, in 2 years from now, we see our team touching 500,000 lives and reduce the pollution by 10% at least by implementing this project. Having developed a recycling mentality and given the bottom of the population a foothold in the local economy, we hope to learn from this and explore the potential for future interventions, advancing even more of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We would love to hear your thoughts on this. So I would like to conclude by asking you a simple question. Are we doing enough to build a sustainable world? If not, then why not start today? We wholeheartedly welcome you to join our team Green Beans, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. That's a very impressive presentation and very well put together indeed. I'd like to start this time with maybe asking Lindsay to ask some questions.
Thank you very much, Mohammed and Asma. That's yeah, brilliant, very excellent presentation, and clearly really well thought through. One of the things I'd like to understand a little bit more is, I suppose, is just that interface between the people who are collecting plastic and the codes and the companies who are buying it, and how are you going to ensure that that is that continues to be a fair exchange? My experience from projects not mildly, not that dissimilar to this, are that the companies can start off saying they're going to be very generous and then not be as things go on. So I'd be really interested to understand a bit more about the mechanics of what the software does.
So actually, so to reach the people, we are using USSD. Actually, we are using USSD for two reasons. That is to connect people with local wholesalers, that is the poor people with the local wholesalers, and the secondly, to register the local wholesalers in our system. So we are using USSD because it's the existing people, the people are familiar with this existing technology. And for example, about 160 million Bangladeshis use it. And we know that on average, at least one person from each family has a mobile phone, or in the worst case scenario, let's say a few from each community at union or works. So reaching out to the person will eventually connect us to the rest of the people, because USSD is just a way to let the shopkeepers know of the user's location so that they can follow up with the poor people who possess an inherent discomfort in handling technological devices, and with moving on to the further to the process. And the shopkeepers then, by getting the location wise from the nearby locations, they can connect with them and guide them to the rest of their process in their local language. And for the recycling companies, we are providing a software interface that this USSD, all the data sets of this USSD will be connected into a data center of the telecom companies. And from there, they will be connected to a software where they can monitor that which shop has how many amount of waste are accumulated, and is it enough to collect them and send a truck to load and unload the waste from the shops.
And I suppose, so maybe I wasn't clear, how are you going to make sure that the collectors actually get a fair price for the plastics that they bring in? Is there something in the system which means that that's actually going to be fair?
So actually the individual collectors sell it for a nominal price. That is, the scavengers sell it for a very nominal price. And its price scale up to a large amount as it's traded multiple times before it ultimately reaches to the recycling companies in the existing system that is without USSD. So most of the profits of this trade are taken away from the traders who are involved between this cycle of scavengers and recyclers. And through this project, we are trying to connect these scavengers and recyclers while limiting the role of intermediaries. And if this project is implemented, then these scavengers, as well as the day laborers like the construction workers who face the uncertainty of not getting job the next day, might get food security for a day. Like if they collect 15 bottles of 500 ml or 3 bottles of 5 liters, then they can get 15 taka, which is around 20 cents. And it's enough to get a full plate of rice for one person in Bangladesh.
Brilliant. I think what you've just described, which is to try and make sure more money gets to the people who are scavenging, brilliant. Yeah, I really love that. I think that's great.
If I might add a small point, since you were asking about the technical security as well of the system. So we, in our country, one of the leading telecom companies here in Bangladesh is Banglalink, and they use InfoBip's S-Gate solution, which is basically a gateway that controls the traffic of SMS and USSD, and which ensures that there is no fraud activities going on. So if we get to implement this, then we will definitely go in contract with the telecom companies so that we can implement this at the security level as well.
Excellent. No, I think that sounds really good. Yeah, brilliant.
Lalit, would you like to follow up on that question? Because I think this question of power and the sort of where does this go, it seems really important.
Yes, I would like to first of all congratulate the young team for this brilliant idea, and also particularly the question which Lindsay asked very clearly. So it's a very appropriate elimination of the middle circle, and one can hope and imagine that the person who is working on the ground for collection, they are getting the fair price and improving their life. So it is very important. I have few points and then I'll come to this power question. So I don't know if you are familiar, there was a very famous, you heard about the example of Curitiba in Brazil, very famous city, Curitiba, it for its public transportation, quite special. So the famous mayor of that city, he was very young. I think he's now retired, and he was retired as a governor of that province, Jaime Lerner. So when he became the mayor at a very young age, so the Bay Area.
Oh, we've lost Lalit all of a sudden. Maybe just while Lalit comes back, I was just wondering if you'd thought further by, well, no, he's back.
Hello, you can hear me? I don't know what.
Yes, we can hear you. You got to the sort of Bay Area, an example you were talking about.
I don't know what happened. It was a blackout a bit. So he asked people to fish the garbage. So he was a very visionary. He fished the garbage. He gave people the food in exchange of that fishing the garbage, eggs, fruits, many things. So it worked as a circular economy. So people fished out the garbage and he was giving them the food what we needed. The area got clean. The tourism started enhancing. Many such things he was engaged. So if my point is also, if this activity is interlinked with a general city or society improvement, for example, if it is linked to those areas and possibilities, I think it will be a brilliant even strategy to reach out for the improvement of the living surroundings. So it has that potential the way I see it. It is not only limited to the collection of bottles and giving some enhanced economical a possibility for the poor, those who are at the lower end of the society economically. I have one more comment. You can hear me fine?
Yes.
Fine. I can't see others. So one comment is the name is bottle economy, maybe by some choice, but essentially it is you are dealing with the plastic, right? It is not only the bottle collection. You are dealing with multiple things, I'm assuming. So So this goes very well from the poverty point of view, that the first thing is you need to eradicate poverty, otherwise that mindset is very complex. So with that is fine, but also be careful or intervene at an appropriate way and enhance the value chain, so that it does not lead to a mindset that it is fine to keep on polluting because there is a system which will keep on collecting.
Mm.
So, so you have developed a very brilliant system, technically superior, works well, everybody gets their share, everything is accountable, transparent. So it is fine, very good to develop it, but just to keep in mind, energetically, you have to keep in mind, it should not be an alternative that we keep on polluting, keep on generating more plastic, because we have found a solution. I'm not sure that is the really solution, because the recycling industry, which level of recycling is happening, where these bottles are getting connected, is recycling plant nearby, what is the quality of recycling and the pollution that plant generates, and what do they make out of that plastic. See, the plastic gets downgraded every time. So this is, one has to be very clear about bit long term and the holistic vision. So it is good to start to provide people this possibility, but perhaps you are actually tapping human resources essentially. So if you intervene some other things, either alternative possibility, craft, keeping the pollution, you are basically tackling pollution and bringing an economic solution. So either cloth bag or some other products or something more on those lines. So I think some amount of diversity, maybe down the line, not immediately, I agree. If something of those points are integrated within this, I think then the system will be very robust. So maybe you develop your foothold, you penetrate the system and bring people in and hook them to some network, which is quite fine. But I'm not able to see this will remain and it will sustain well only on plastic economy. One has to be careful.
Right, sir. We totally
You
agree with you.
understand? Yeah.
Yes, definitely, sir. This is a very good point. In fact, we have in mind that we need to build an education, a curriculum for the people, to let them know, to educate them regarding the usefulness of not making waste or throwing waste here and there. So our main purpose would also be to educate them so that we can use that mentality of not creating more waste, and in the future, our long term plan also exists that we might scale up to using paper packaging at some point. So the possibilities are there to explore for us, and hopefully by your help and from our mentors help, we can definitely make changes accordingly.
Has something been tested? Have you tested something on this in a
Yes,
pilot scale?
yes, we have tested, that is the pre-test phase, that is previous to the pilot phase. So the pre-test we have conducted in the Bhatara, that is the Thana of Dhaka, one Thana of Dhaka, and one in Dinajpur, which is 400 kilometers away from the capital and lies in the northern part of the country. So you could say that's in the rural part. And before the start of the pre-test, we took a price chart from the recycling companies and asked the shopkeepers to buy with that price. And to say that what we been through during these days, that they were surprised that why are we willing to buy plastics at a higher rate, because plastics are sold at a very low price in rural areas. Then we explained to them that you'll also make money out of it. Then they became interested in it and agreed to be a part of it. And one thing that I would like to mention about the that you pointed out, that is our goal should not be only the plastics, that is. So currently we have plans to include plastic waste of HDPE, that is high density polymer polyethylene, HDPE, and LDPE, that is, which is actually not recyclable in Bangladesh, LDPE. So what the recycling companies does is collect LDPE and make scraps out of it and export to other countries. And for HDPE, we have a recycling demand that is very high. And for the other parts, that is other categories, that is the styrofoams and other harmful plastics, and they say that they don't have currently have a price for that, because to actually make scraps or reproduce them at an industry scale, they would need a higher amount of those plastics, because they would need to bring more higher machineries, improved machineries. So they asked us to create awareness first and check waste of those types too, not only just the PET bottles or other recyclable plastics.
Thank you. Can I just expand on the issue of the sort of further holistic development? Because I think, Lalit, that you've talked a bit about the sort of business expanding on the recycling, and also obviously trying to not to encourage more waste to recycle it, which is absolutely crucial. But there's another sort of dimension, isn't there? I mean, there is widespread development of these sorts of platforms to link providers and customers around the world, and often they're seen as quite exploitative, and partly because the people who are providing the services have no rights, have no say, and so on your slide at the end, I think you said something about empowering or giving more say to the people who are going to be involved. What you're thinking is, how could that work?
Well, actually, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So in Bangladesh, the main recycling company that we are willing to go in contract with is Adnan PSF. And they are the only company here in Bangladesh who have the license to import 5,000 metric tons of plastics from abroad for recycling purposes. And they recycle it and make use of the waste that they import. So what we are trying to do is they will have the opportunity to get that amount of waste, not maybe that amount of waste, but a certain amount of waste from the local community. That so here the money that they used to spend to import from abroad will be saved, right? So here the opportunity of exploitation remains, and we want to study and think about it in the future as well. But for now, we think that since we are giving them the opportunity to earn from the local community, they might not exploit the local shopkeepers or the trader or the individual collectors that we are talking about, or who are our main focus point here in our project. So this could be an opportunity. So we hope that this will be, won't be any exploitation regarding that.
But presumably this is a private
like
company whose mission is to make as much money as possible, is it? Or have they any social objective? Have they any element that you can, any wider vision for what they're doing than just making maximizing their returns?
So actually, this is the company. We are not really sure about the social intervention that they have right now. We know the business that goes on, but what makes our idea unique is we are the only people who are not only focusing on waste management. We are the people who want to bring social impact by improving the mindset of people regarding waste collection. We want to bring economic impact by giving the scope of extra earning opportunity to the poor people, and also we want to benefit the ultimate economic growth by not having people to spend money to import from abroad.
So I know I can see your purposes and motivation. I think are social, are wider. I suppose I'm just wondering if you're dealing with one company and there's only one company and you only have a choice of one company, and that company's motivation is to maximize its returns and pay as little as possible to the people who provide its materials for recycling, that may create problems because they are bound to exploit people as far as they possibly can.
Right, absolutely. I totally agree that the possibility remains, because they would want maximum profit. What is their benefit from the social point of view, right? So we want to build a community of people We want to involve the stakeholders. Maybe we can persuade them by telling them the ultimate benefit they will be having from this project, by giving us the social benefit that we need, the security that the poor people need in our community. So we are willing to persuade them. We hopefully will be able to do it, but we will need proper directions for that as well.
So I would like to add to that that they are recycling about around 70% of the plastic waste that are produced. So they do not have the capability to go in a wider
We lost them.
Sorry, we've lost Mohammed.
Yeah, we can't hear, some net connection.
Asma, did you want to add? Well,
I think
how are you going to, I mean, what's interesting is how you can bring pressure to bear on this company to widen its perspective. I think that.
And they can't hear, I guess. They are not.
Neither of them are. Well, we are.
I think their net is, yeah.
This is the challenge of, Mohammed, are you back?
Yeah, Ashma is more.
Asma, can you hear us?
Yes, sorry, we are having a problem with the internet connection. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So yes, are there any angles to bring pressure to bear on this company to widen its perspective in terms of having some responsibility to the recyclers?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sorry
There was a
technical problem.
Okay, yeah, it was.
So I got the question.
Sorry, Mohammed, are you there?
right. We can't hear you again.
Sorry.
Can you
Hear
hear
you,
me
Mohammed.
now?
Yeah. Now, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so the point I was talking about is to make the local economy more sustainable by, that, as Asma said, the recycling companies, and one imports 50,000 metric tons of plastic, and they import and make products as well as
Can you switch your camera off,
companies
Mohammed, and that might help?
want this.
You can switch off your cameras. Maybe that will help.
No, I think he's
Frozen
I
again.
think he's frozen and we're running out of time.
Yeah, sir. Sorry,
But
sir. Could you repeat the question that you
Yeah,
asked? A while ago?
my question is really is to what potential do you have to influence the company to have a broader perspective beyond just maximizing profit? Are there any angles of way to so it might be more responsible to the community, whether you could build it into some sort of wider partnership that has a public purpose around it, for instance?
Right. So our plan is to involve certain partnership and collaboration with certain group of people. So our main partnerships will definitely include the recycling companies, who are the bigger stakeholders here, apart from the scavengers and the local shopkeepers. Also, we will have to partner with the telecommunication companies, and also the volunteering group of people, and youth platforms. So our plan to persuade them is to involve the youth platform and also the volunteering communities. We, being engineers, are part of a big community of engineers, that is IEEE. And IEEE has local student branches in every university of Bangladesh, almost every university of Bangladesh. So we want to involve the volunteers from there to help us in getting the permission, by showing them the bigger picture, by showing them the social impact that resides here. And also there is this youth policy forum that is a newly founded policy forum in Bangladesh, who are relentlessly working to improve the policies against environmental, political, economic sectors. So our plan is to collaborate with them so that they can bring in more stakeholders, more policy people, so that we can bring a map, a route map system that can help us to persuade the big companies.
I think that sounds a very sound strategy, because yeah, the more stakeholders, the bigger the policy factors you can bring in.
Yes,
I think the better. And even thinking about setting up some sort of organization that brings all the different interests and also gives a say to the people who are recycling, so that you can try and create a space where you can debate wider questions of economic development, environment, social, and so on.
So
yes,
there's one
some
point
collective
that
setup will be helpful. Yeah.
That I missed, Henry sir, that he pointed that what about if they begin to exploit the scavengers, that they are they certainly they want to buy at a very lower price. So what they are currently doing is they are buying from the local wholesalers, that is local wholesalers sell it to the district level wholesalers, and then it goes to the divisional level wholesalers. So price increases at every stages. So they're already buying at the higher price. So what we are just doing it, that offering the same product with the same price, with just being the limiting the role of intermediaries, that is and connecting the scavengers and the recyclers. And another point is that how they are benefiting is that in Bangladesh, people dump both recyclable and non-recyclable waste in the same bin instead of using separate bins. So in case of plastic waste from, suppose, food packaging, it remains dirty, and when kept with other plastic waste, causes contamination, which reduces the value of waste. So which will try to educate them about the economics of waste through creating a innovative governance mechanism, so that they understand the economics of waste and earn more from it.
I would suggest then that maybe you quantify how much more money they're making, and then campaign for them to put that into a fund that could be the basis for wider social and environmental purposes, which could be the basis for a collective organization as well. So I think having that angle and knowing the benefits they're getting, because otherwise they will just pocket it. Taking out the middleman is a way of just making more money. And so if you can identify that money, and part of your campaign is for them to put that into a trust fund or a publicly controlled fund by the many stakeholders, then you can use that as the basis for change, more wider systems change.
Thanks.
And
thank you very much.
Definitely a great point.
What I'm getting a message from Henry is, you are replacing the middleman in a different way. Your technological thing is replacing, so you keep your charter, your value system quite intact and keep it very upright, and you have to use your network's strength and its negotiating power to give the equal and fair chance to these people around which the system is being built. You guys can also be in touch with me if you want later. We have our internal Oroville Eco-Service Waste Management Organization. They do almost 30 to 40 types of segregation. We have a very well developed system, many barrels, even a waste segregation source is happening for last 40 years. Some people have gone ahead here and they have developed even a curriculum called garbology.
Oh, yes.
That kind of activity. So this happens with the passion of people, those who are engaged in these kind of activities. So that passion and engagement is the key to bring change. We need to engage to transform. So these people, those who are into this garbology, they have gone, and their book of garbology has now come in a state board curriculum. So that is the power of a good work. So when you do the work so meticulously with good intention, I think it finds the way. Of course, one needs to make effort towards it. I don't know about Bangladesh, but in India, we have a corporate social responsibility clause, CSR funds. So 2% of their profit or overall turnover, they are supposed to be assigning and utilizing it for some social responsibility or activity changes. So if you have those clauses, so you need to understand you cannot remain a simple technological middleman.
No.
Yes.
You need to
And
understand this. So you may have started with that because you both are from computer science background. So I like the possibility of you people using your technological background and thinking of like computer putting all the circuits together. But what we are dealing is a very live society and very complex human nature change, which has not much change in the last 10,000 years. So you need to keep that in mind and build around that. And there are many good practices. So be prepared for a much larger role first for yourself. Mentally be ready. And then I think change will happen. All the best.
Thank you,
so,
Lalit.
Good work.
Lindsay,
can
do
I
you want to say
add
something?
Yeah,
something? Yes.
just the I suppose just really to support that and to say for lots of companies, if you can help them to get their narrative right, that actually is a real benefit, because it's that if people have a choice, their customers, and they're making a choice about who they buy from, if they're able to buy essentially the same product, recycled plastic, and they've got two choices, one which is adding extra value versus another which isn't, that can be very attractive, but you'll probably have to help them to tell that story. So a bit like Lalit is saying, I would say that you probably need to start thinking about who might else you work with who could, perhaps who's really good at marketing and communications and telling stories, so that it becomes something of a movement. It becomes something where it's much harder not to be doing the right thing than it is to, just to carry on as they are. And there's some really smart people who've done that in different ways around the world. So again, similarly, if after this you want to get in touch, I'm really happy to try and connect you with some of those, because there've been some great movements where people have created energy, and therefore that becomes a way of doing things in a positive way.
Thanks, Lindsay. And I might say just a final thought. If this company is effectively a monopoly and has a license, that also makes it vulnerable to losing the license. So, so it may feel that they need to have a more social and be seen to providing broader benefits in order to justify their monopolistic license. But so that might be another angle. But you can clearly see that we've all been very excited by your project, and we think it has huge potential. And so I'd like to thank you very much for joining us and presenting. We'll be launching a public vote, public awareness campaign on Monday with your information and so on to get your brilliant ideas further attention. And we'll obviously be helping you connect with people to help make it happen, and writing an article about your activities, again, to hopefully help you make your vision happen. So thank you very much again, and we look forward to further conversations.
All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'd like to really thank you all for giving us the opportunity today to be present here. We'd like to get in touch with all of you. And also we'd like to thank our mentors who have been helping us all throughout, guiding us, Nicolette ma'am and Mike sir, who have been helping us. So hopefully we'll get in touch soon.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
And with that, we're also ending the live stream for a moment, because our third entry, who we were hoping to welcome at this point, they have a power cut. So we're looking to rearrange them to join later today, and we'll let you know about that. So I'll stop the live stream and we will start it again at 9:30 with the next entries.